Hello and welcome to this week's Sunday Supplement from Sheldon Road Methodist Church. We're so pleased to have you with us today. We're on the third week of our Lent series called Whole Life Worship, and we're joined today by Jackie, who's going to talk to us about how worshipping transforms ordinary actions.
Jackie, thank you so much.
Oh, you're most
for
welcome.
letting us come to your shop.
Oh, you're more than welcome.
And we're having a good look round and we can see all this here and all sorts of different things and all these people that you've helped, which is fabulous. It's wonderful. Can you explain a bit about your job?
Yes, of course. I work for myself. I've worked for myself now, one way and another, for probably 15 years, Ruth. Wow. In this capacity. I'm a weight loss consultant. Mm-hmm. People come to me either sometimes through their GP. Very often, not always, but very often the people who come have been alerted to a health condition.
Okay.
It's not just because they fancy being in an itsy witsy teeny weeny yellow polka dot bikini, although I wouldn't discourage that. It's about their health and it's about looking after themselves. Mm-hmm. And my role is to be their consultant, to be their go-to, sometimes with the use of various products that I have here that they can buy. Nutritionally complete, I have to say. They can do that, but it's more about them being accountable, them telling me what they are aiming for. I'm very fortunate in that I was able to invest in a full body scanner, which is just round the corner, out of the eyes of everybody on New Road. No, they don't strip off, but they go around the corner and we can have a look at their whole body. Yes. And see if they're carrying visceral fat, which you probably heard of is that nasty internal fat that can be around your internal organs. Whether they're heavily muscled, whether they're not. It's that visceral fat, it's that internal fat that is more important, and that you've got holding there, you've got fat.
Now that's all right, isn't it? I can throw that, and that's not too heavy. So that's how much?
That's just a replica of 1 pound of fat. Okay. And I use that when people say, "Ooh, only a pound," but that is also the size of a pound of fat. Yeah. Yes. And you've got the bad boy there, haven't you?
Yeah, look at this thing. I mean, this is much more difficult to throw up and down.
And that's chunky. That is a replica of 5 pounds of fat.
Wow. Well, this is stretching my muscles just holding it, actually.
And when people say, "Oh, I've only lost," well, you know, Rome wasn't built in a day. We didn't put the weight on in a week.
No, that's true.
Yes. We don't put weight on in a week, and it takes longer to sort it out. But you know, I honestly, I've said this so many times to so many people that I feel I've got the best job in the world, because people come to me in, sometimes we've had a lot of tears when a doctor has said to you, "Now look, if you don't get a grip, this or this may happen." Yeah. And so because I'm fortunate enough to have built a good reputation with local doctors' surgeries, GPs may send people to me. There's nothing in it for them other than a healthier patient. Yes. Or in particular diabetes nurses, because our plan has been used to not reverse, that's the misuse of the word, but to put type 2 diabetes into remission.
Right, okay.
So for me it's a win-win. They come in usually sad, maybe a bit more. Yeah. Some even feel ashamed, and there's nothing to be ashamed about. You better not get me onto my hobby horse of food being everywhere in Chippenham. Yes. No names, no pack drill, but it's everywhere. Yeah. It's everywhere, and it's easy for us in our busy lives to fall into the habit of grab and go.
And actually, when we're talking about whole life worship, this is our body is part of our whole life, isn't it?
Absolutely.
So to worship God,
well, it's
looking after your body.
It's the flesh we live in, isn't it? It's just it's us. It is our whole life. You know, mind, body, and soul. and it all needs looking after.
Yes.
I feel in a very privileged position that sometimes people will say to me, Ruth, things that they might not say to other people. And the very first thing I say when I meet people is, like any good counsellor would, is what we say in here stays in here. It doesn't go any further. We don't normally have recording equipment in here unless we're doing an interview with somebody. And so I feel a great privilege. Yes, I sell products, I would never deny that. However, it's about so much more. And it is about building that relationship with somebody who's able to then confide in you. And believe me, they do.
Yes, yeah.
They do. I feel in a very privileged position.
Oh, well done.
Thank you.
And also, as it's Lent, so just to finish, we're thinking, often people think about giving things up for Lent, don't they? I think chocolate is the main one, isn't it? Which
and
is
then
so
we have
hard.
then we have a chocolate feast.
Well, yes, I know. You seem to go from the sublime to the ridiculous, don't you?
Yeah.
And I'm not sure whether that's actually healthy for your body either to do that.
Can I say, how did we ever end up with chocolates in advent calendars? Don't get me started. Yeah, no, I think Lent is often seen as a time of denial. But I'd rather turn that on its head and say, if you've got into a habit that's not that helpful, if you've got into a habit of having your 2-finger Kit Kat, which is other brands are available, or a 4-finger Kit Kat, or toffee crisp, whatever it is, in the evening when you finally sat down, dishes are washed, children are in bed, ready to relax in front of your favourite programme, and there's nothing wrong with that. It then becomes mindless eating.
Yeah.
So actually I would say you're not necessarily giving something up, but you are giving yourself something during Lent, whether it's to do with food and that 2-finger Kit Kat, or whether it's to do with never actually taking the advice and going out for a walk. So maybe you're giving up half an hour of, I don't know, how great is your garden, or whatever it is, any million of reality TV programs there are, and actually giving that up and going out for a walk. It doesn't have to be a frog march, you don't have to join a club and start training for the Chippenham Half Marathon, but actually by just taking that time out of your busy life and going out to get a walk, just to get those endorphins, or if it's early in the morning, there's nothing nicer than an early morning walk. Listen to the birds.
Yeah.
And I think, sadly, in many ways, we've forgotten how to just be still.
Yeah.
I have a little old dog, as you know, and therefore that's not difficult for me to do, needs, must and all that. But yeah, I think Lent is a time, have your pancakes if that's your bag, but then think and ponder in those 40 days about what this is really all about.
Thank you, Jackie. It's been lovely. It really has.
You're
Thank
really
you.
most welcome.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Head down, grit teeth, roll on another week. Monday mornings, mundane job and tasks. Eat, work, tweet, graft, sleep, repeat. Late nights, early nights, keeping balance right. Dinner, dishes, washing, bed, bath, morning light. Concentrating hard, throwing myself in. Lift my given hands to work and losing touch with what's within. Each day, a gentle numbing. Sunday. Gathered church, gathered people, gather myself to worship, lift my heart. Head up, breathe deep, invite you into the week. Lift my given hands to work and touching heaven as I do. Lift my hands to work and work's an instrument of praise. Your abiding presence filling up my days. Turn my eyes to you, and your delight compels my tasks. Lift my heart to worship, lift my heart to bask in your warmth. Even in busyness, I'm stilled in you. When scattered, you're with us, and we are in you.
I've been asked to say a few words today about worship, and I would say before I was a Christian, quite a few years ago now, I would have thought that worship, if you'd asked me to define it, would have been singing, probably praying, or would I? I'm not sure. But really, what I've learnt over the years is that worship certainly can include those things. It can include singing, it can include saying prayers with children as they go to sleep at night. But actually, worship is so much more than that. And I've realised over the years that worship is our whole lives, certainly my whole life. And it's about my actions and my attitudes to and in the world. And in these funny times that we live in with the advent of social media, who'd ever heard of that 30 years ago, it includes what we say, what we do, how we behave. When we use social media, it can be a wonderful tool, but my goodness, you can get caught up in things that perhaps we are best to avoid and not get into too many discussions, arguments, whatever you call them, about what is being said and done. So really, I would say now that worship includes who we are and being a different person to the person that I was, how I thought, how I behaved before I came to know Christ. And it's helped me my faith has helped me to understand a passage that is back in Psalms 139, and from memory verse 13, which talks about us being fearfully and wonderfully made. I'm going to talk a bit later about what that means and how we use our bodies, how we treat our bodies, and how that ties in with my work. So we're taking off the old self when we come to Christ. We're no longer living that life that we were, but we've got a new identity. The essence of ourselves is the same, just the best high definition version that we can be. So it's about who we are and why we can be that new person, that new creation. And my belief is that it's only Jesus Christ who can help us to be that person. And thinking about my work again, it is wherever we are. You know, it's easy to go to church, chapel, wherever you go, and get involved in singing of a great song with a great tune, one of our favourites. Great is Thy Faithfulness is a very old hymn, but it moves me to tears even now. And it's only when you've been through some things that you realise just how wonderful the Lord is in getting alongside us. So it's not just in those times, thanks to the ambulance going by, it's not just in those times, but it's wherever we are. It's how we treat people, how we're courteous to people, how we react when we're getting really cross and we're standing in a queue and it's all taking far too long and we've got to be somewhere else and we can't get there because somebody has got a problem at the till. It's about being Christ in those situations and not being the grumpy old dear who makes a fuss and complains, but about having a better attitude in our lives. It's about how we spend our money, how we relate to people, how we do our work. Did we just turn up, do the bare minimum, have the longest tea break possible and go home? Well, I would suggest it's not. It is about being, warts and all, the very best that we can be in our daily lives. Thanks be to God.
The reading's from Colossians 3, verses 12 to 17, and is taken from the God's Word translation. As holy people whom God has chosen and loved, be sympathetic, kind, humble, gentle and patient. Put up with each other and forgive each other if anyone has a complaint. Forgive as the Lord forgave you. Above all, be loving. This ties everything together perfectly. Also, let Christ's peace control you. God has called you into this peace by bringing you into one body. Be thankful. Let Christ's word with all its wisdom and richness live in you. Use psalms, hymns and spiritual songs to teach and instruct yourselves about God's kindness. Sing to God in your hearts. Everything you say or do should be done in the name of the Lord Jesus, giving thanks to God the Father through him.
My
thanks for joining us today. We hope you found the content both thought-provoking and helpful. Next week, we'll have Andrew speaking about how worshipping inspires our everyday speech. I look forward to seeing you then. Why not subscribe to our YouTube channel? Just press the subscribe button. It's free, and if you press the bell symbol, you'll get notifications too for our new videos. If you enjoyed the video, you can press the thumbs up symbol to let us know. Thank you.